The internet is in a complete meltdown right now as rumors turn into cries about whether Kirk Frost was actually poisoned. According to a highly confidential medical source, doctors allegedly found traces of a rare, slow-acting toxin in Kirk's system, and the twist is that they believe it came from someone close to him rather than from food or medication. Fans are shocked, and those who have followed Kirk and Rasheeda for years are now watching old footage, analyzing interviews, and looking for clues they might have missed, because if this is true, then who had the motive? How long have they been planning? Some are blaming former lovers, others are eyeing rival businesses, and some are even asking the unthinkable. In this video, Rasheeda is featured and the entire timeline is being broken down. This isn't just drama, this is betrayal at its darkest. It all started with an eerie silence that swept through Kirk Frost's normally active online presence. The man who was always posting and showing up to events abruptly vanished without a trace, no public appearances, and no Instagram updates. The hospital bombshell fan reactions and the terrifying details that might change everything we thought we knew about Kirk and his inner circle. Almost immediately, fans started to wonder where Kirk was and if everything was all right. At first, people thought it was just one of those breaks celebrities take from the spotlight, but something didn't feel right. Rasheeda, who typically shares too much of herself with her followers, shared a single story with an image of a dimly lit hospital hallway and the words, "Pray." A fuzzy photo of Kirk being hurried into a medical room with his eyes closed and his body limp, surrounded by nurses, was released online a day after that one word sent shockwaves through the fan base. Blobs picked it up instantly, leaving fans stunned. Rumors began to circulate in the comments, with some speculating that it was a stroke and others that it was a heart attack. However, nothing could have prepared anyone for what was about to happen when a blogger who was known for leaking inside information about celebrities dropped a bombshell, according to an anonymous nurse. Kirk had not just passed out, he had been poisoned. The toxin was not something that is typically found in an overdose. Rather, it was something that was slow, rare, and calculated. The nurse's leak showed that doctors had found traces of a toxic substance in Kirk's blood, which indicated that the poisoning was intentional and that it was administered gradually in small doses. According to the blog, doctors were astounded by the amounts in his system, and internal testing revealed that it wasn't food poisoning or any kind of recreational drug, but rather ethylene glycol, a highly specific chemical commonly found in antifreeze. It's deadly, odorless, and sweet, making it easy to miss in food or drink. The implications were horrifying. Fans were devastated and furious as social media exploded in mayhem. When hashtags like #PrayFork, #Kirk Frost poisoned, and #Hashwadadist began to trend on Twitter, people sought answers. Surprisingly, Rasheeda was the one who remained silent the longest, posting nothing for 2 days in a row following the photo leak, until ultimately breaking her silence with an ambiguous statement. "We need your privacy at this trying time. Please leave a comment below that." One remark read, "Why so quiet? You always post everything. Now your man is dying and you're just asking for privacy? Sounds off," while others were polite. The post turned into a war, with some fans offering support and others demanding the truth. Malik, Kirk's cousin, posted and then removed a mysterious Facebook status late at night that said, "You try to warn someone that not everyone smiling in their face is a friend, but the poison comes with a kiss." That was what truly stoked suspicion. Before he could remove it, fans pre-shot the post, and within minutes it was being discussed on social media, with some asking, was Malik pointing fingers or was there already suspicion within the family? When another aspect of the mystery was revealed, the drama escalated. Kirk's longtime business colleague Tony performed an impromptu, visibly emotional Instagram Live. Tony stated, "Kirk was like a brother. We built so much together and yet he was going through it, but never in a million years did I think someone would try to take him out like this." The weird thing is that a week ago, he told me that he felt like someone was watching him. He stated that he had been feeling bad for weeks, and that he feared maybe someone was putting something in his food. His remarks spread like wildfire. He hesitated and then added something scary. The fact that Kirk had allegedly told a friend that he intended to amend his will was even more unsettling. Although no names were disclosed, a close family member leaked that Kirk had recently mentioned removing someone from his estate. Fans were horrified and started piecing together a risky puzzle. Wondering who had the motivation and who would all eyes turn to one individual who had stayed oddly silent, Rasheeda, as Kirk's demise came to pass. Something troubling emerged, as the public learned more about the couple's previous past. Over the previous 2 months, Kirk and Rasheeda had been spotted together less and less. Date nights are over. No cooperative marketing campaigns. They seem to be moving apart. Rasheeda has been concentrating on endeavors instead of their customary collaborations, including new sponsorships, a new rebrand, and, most telling of all, everything under her own name. Was she getting ready for life without Kirk? Or was it merely a coincidence? Then the shocking news arrived. A voice message was submitted to a well-known gossip page by a lady named Tasha, who claimed to have been Rasheeda's former assistant. "I was with them for more than a year," she wrote in the note. Arguments were ongoing. Kirk considered leaving everything behind. He informed me that he intended to relocate to Miami and that he wanted to leave the spotlight and the program. Rasheeda, however, forbade him. When they had brand deals lined up, she stated he couldn't just walk out. At one point, I overheard her screaming that she would be destroyed if he went. Tasha paused and would not respond when asked if she believed Rasheeda was responsible for the poisoning. Her remarks were overshadowed by her silence. Soon after, a former employee of one of their companies, who wished to remain anonymous, came forward with a disturbing discovery. Prior to his breakdown, Kirk reportedly complained of feeling unwell for weeks. They claimed that he always felt ill after eating at home. Perhaps his wife was attempting to murder him. He joked. A harmless joke? Perhaps. However, it acquired a far more sinister connotation inside the framework of the inquiry. The internet took off. Blogs made dramatic headlines out of this. Podcasts broke down the chronology. From becoming concerned, fans were certain that something was amiss. During an emotional live broadcast, one of Kirk's best pals from childhood started crying. Kirk was too smart to fall for something random, he stated tearfully. If he was poisoned, it was by someone who was familiar with his daily routine and had daily access to him. The connotation was obvious. Once more, Rasheeda was the name that was on everyone's lips. Another twist entered the picture just as things appeared to be reaching a boiling point. According to a hospital source, Kirk had momentarily regained consciousness. He had opened his eyes and was able to pronounce a few words, but it wasn't a complete recovery. He questioned, "Who did this?" before losing consciousness once more. There was silence in the room. Members of the family stood in disbelief. Medical personnel hurried in. However, those 3 words set off a never-before-seen hurricane. This wasn't paranoia if Kirk genuinely thought he had been attacked and inquired about the perpetrator. It was authentic. Now fans demanded justice. They sought clarification. Above all, they wanted someone to take responsibility. Then the greatest shock of all occurred. According to witnesses, Rasheeda started crying following Kirk's brief period of consciousness. Some claimed it appeared to be guilt, while others claimed it was terror. The timing couldn't have been more incendiary, regardless of the reality. After nearly 4 days of unconsciousness, Kirk had spoken, and pain or confusion was not the first thing on his mind. It was treachery, the type you only experience when someone you trusted betrays you. Kirk's room was promptly closed down by the hospital staff. Entry was restricted to immediate relatives only, and even then, only one person at a time. The first person to be allowed entry was Rasheeda. An unnamed nurse claims that the encounter didn't proceed as planned. When Rasheeda came in, Kirk's mood changed to one of obvious confusion. His heart rate spiked as he tugged at the wires in an attempt to sit up. He muttered, "Get her out," according to the nurse. His speech was garbled, but it was obvious what he meant. Rasheeda's face was pale and trembling as she was swiftly led away. The silence wasn't maintained for long. The internet was quickly on fire after someone revealed the nurse's account. Fans were positive Rasheeda was involved. They were no longer merely speculating. The story took a sinister turn. Videos analyzing every phrase and every moment were all over TikTok and YouTube. Resurfaced an old love and hip-hop video in which Kirk had criticized Rasheeda for harboring resentment for too long. Everything was being interpreted by fans as a murder mystery. Rasheeda posted a video of herself in a candlelit room with swollen eyes and a shaky voice in an attempt to contain the harm. She remarked, "You guys have no idea what we're going through. Kirk is my spouse. I adore him. I would never harm him in any way." However, the reaction was severe. Comments described it as crocodile tears and said that the video was overly prepared and produced. Even the statement, "She's crying like someone trying to win an Oscar," went viral. The poisoning was not mentioned. No recognition of the rumors. It was merely a nebulous request for peace. When the cops were called in, the situation worsened. According to local media, Kirk's case was formally under investigation by the authorities after the physicians verified foul play. There were indications that investigators had started interviewing family members, but no names were released to the public. Kirk's oldest son was the first person spotted entering the station and was said to have been there for more than 2 hours. He declined to comment when he came out. Reporters descended on the Frost home following Kirk's collapse, but nobody was prepared to talk. Then the largest leak to date appeared. A blog revealed a startling disclosure from a family friend who asked not to be named. Kirk had told them, weeks prior to the incident, that he intended to see a lawyer to update his will. He allegedly said to the friend, "If anything happens to me, don't trust the people closest to me." That was even more terrifying. News sites picked it up, and podcasts ran emergency editions as the message went viral. Rasheeda, meanwhile, completely ceased blogging when people started to suspect her. But a different name, Kirk's niece Tamika, that had not yet been revealed, started to subtly emerge. Kirk and Tamika had always been close, and they frequently dealt with business-related matters behind the scenes. However, disturbing links soon surfaced. She reportedly became hostile when hospital workers ordered her to leave after she was spotted arriving late at night, well after visiting hours. Tamika was heard yelling, "He needs to tell me where he hid the damn papers," according to a nurse. She was hauled out when security was summoned. This incident caused people to wonder if there was more to the story, or if money was the only factor at play. Could internal conflicts over Kirk's estate, music collection, real estate, or commercial assets be connected to his near-death experience? Following recent arguments with Kirk, rumors circulated that a number of people had been excluded from deals. Everything felt too planned, too convenient in time. Kirk was too feeble to make a statement and continued to go in and out of consciousness while the investigation progressed. While they awaited his testimony, the police started gathering important evidence. A delivery receipt discovered in the Frost home's kitchen trash provided a significant lead. The identical chemical that was discovered in Kirk's system was included in the compound cleaning solution that was ordered online, according to the receipt. The item was delivered weeks before Kirk's collapse, and although someone with access to the residence had signed for it, the signature was smeared. Fans went into detective mode once this information was published, searching through old photos and videos for hints. The public's attention was once again focused on Rasheeda, despite the fact that she wasn't the only person being investigated. When Dion, Kirk's brother, uploaded a mysterious video outside the hospital with the caption, "Snakes move in silence," he further heightened the mystery. You believe you know your own blood, but they reveal their true selves to you. Supporters made wild guesses. Was he talking about Rasheeda, Tamika, or perhaps Tony, Kirk's business partner? With every new piece of information that came to light, the number of theories increased. The local press then received an anonymous tip from a source who claimed to have security footage from the Frost residence that purportedly captured Kirk and someone arguing in his kitchen the night before he passed out. "You've been putting stuff in my food," Kirk yells in the video, to which the other person responds, "You always think someone is out to get you. Perhaps you're simply paranoid." Kirk was discovered asleep in his bed the following morning. The case would be completely upended if the video proved to be authentic. Kirk's health was gradually declining in the meantime. Physicians acknowledged that his liver and kidneys had suffered severe damage, and it was unclear how quickly he would recover. The medical staff explained that Kirk had been purposefully poisoned, so it wasn't just an accident. Now that the inquiry was serious, everyone was wondering not only who did this, but also how deep did the betrayal go. Rasheeda had to deal with the tremendous pressure of public opinion as the Frost family's trust started to decline. On social media, she was assaulted by fans who claimed she was responsible for the poisoning. Formerly close friends and family members started to turn away from her. Kirk's blood samples had produced even more unsettling results from a second round of testing, according to a police source. The examination revealed evidence of an espionage-grade drug, a chemical employed in high-level killings, in addition to the poison already found. The media was taken aback by this disclosure. How did well-known person Kirk manage to consume such a rare and hazardous substance? Was it a member of his inner circle or a professional job? The ramifications were astounding. Rasheeda's every action was closely watched. However, she wasn't the only person under scrutiny. Concerns had been raised by Tamika's actions. A heated exchange between her and Kirk just days prior to the poisoning was captured in one of the several leaked recordings that included her. Kirk can be heard stating, "You're always there when things go wrong, Tamika," in the video. "What is truly wrong with you?" "There's nothing going on," replies Tamika. "Give up your paranoia." The discussion was uncomfortable for fans. Tamika stopped posting on social media shortly after that. Days went by with no stories, no posts, nothing. Fans started to wonder if she had run away. Had she been hushed, or worse, was she hiding? When a former Kirk's employee made a shocking revelation, the case took a new turn. According to this unnamed source, weeks before his breakdown, Kirk had been discussing a significant betrayal. Kirk had feared losing control of his life, his career, and everything he had worked for, the former employee said. It wasn't about money, the worker stated. It was about power. More questions were raised by this statement. Who was attempting to seize Kirk's business empire? Did Dion, Rasheeda, Tamika, or someone else do it? The police focused on a time frame that indicated internal family conflict as the investigation went on. Kirk got into a heated argument with a family member at a gathering just days before he became ill. According to sources, it had to do with his business affairs, and Kirk was prepared to break off relationships with people he had previously trusted. Was there a member of his inner circle at fault? His brother Dion was one of the first suspects, questioned as part of the investigation, which concentrated on those closest to him. Although Dion had seemed supportive in public, rumors of his financial difficulties were swirling. Was his desire to rule Kirk's empire his first priority? The police started investigating his money in an attempt to find a possible reason. Kirk's mother, who had maintained a low profile, eventually spoke out and expressed her horror at what had transpired. She added, "Kirk is a good man," in a shaky voice. "I don't know who could do something like this to him." However, the escalating rumors persisted despite her statements. Had someone influenced her to turn against Kirk? Was she part of a bigger plan? Then came the most startling revelation of all. Kirk's barely audible phone call, which contained the crucial phrase, "I know who did this, but I can't say it yet." Fans and the media were left scrambling to interpret Kirk's last remarks as the call ended abruptly. Was he aware of his poisoner? Was he too weak to mention names? Or was he defending someone? The pressure on the Frost family increased as the investigation came to a close. Every action they took was closely monitored as the media frenzy persisted. And a fresh witness made a shocking revelation just when it appeared that the case might be coming to a close. According to this witness, who was also Tamika's close friend, they saw her leaving Kirk's residence late at night with an unknown male. According to the witness, she was acting weird and was nervous. The investigation was rocked by this testimony, which led to even more questions. Did Tamika contribute to the poisoning, or was she only a pawn in a bigger scheme? Investigating further, the investigators found that Tamika had posted cryptic messages on social media, one of which said, "Sometimes it's better to keep your enemies close." Was there something she was implying? The probe became even more complicated when Dion's enigmatic financial dealings came to light again. Had he been stealing Kirk's money and thought it would be a good idea to kill him? The enigma grew more complex with each new turn. Why and by whom was Kirk Frost poisoned? Though it appeared to be hidden beneath layers of secrets, betrayals, and lies, the truth was there. While the investigation went on, the family's worst worries were starting to materialize as Kirk's condition deteriorated. Suspicion was already hanging over Rasheeda. She was suffocating under the weight of the accusations that she was responsible for Kirk's unexplained illness. The situation was exacerbated by the media's unrelenting fixation on her role. The cameras followed her everywhere, recording her every action and facial expression. She was portrayed as the antagonist in a perverted story, charged with both poisoning her husband and participating in a broad plot to take over his life. The world seemed to have turned against her. She was questioned by her friends, family, and even her fans. Rasheeda was experiencing a range of emotions during the chaos, including anger, heartbreak, and fear. She was aware that she needed to speak her truth and correct the record. However, despite her best efforts, nothing was able to stop the barrage of hatred that surrounded her. Her only choice seemed to be to fight back. Rasheeda eventually made her suffering public in an emotional interview with a well-known TV personality. Her voice was shaking as she said, "I never wanted this to happen. I have a deep affection for Kirk. He would never be harmed by me. I'm more devastated than anyone else at the moment. It's not just about me, though. It concerns our future and our family. We must remain united and discover the truth." Despite her vulnerability and rawness, her statements were met with skepticism. She was even charged by some with exploiting Kirk's near-death experience to gain sympathy. No amount of begging could overturn the media's previous conviction of her. Kirk's health improved in the interim while Rasheeda battled to clear her name. Doctors were eventually able to stabilize him after weeks of silence. Even though he was unable to move or talk for himself, it felt miraculous that he was still alive. Although they cautioned that his road to recovery would be lengthy and uncertain, the physicians were cautiously optimistic. There was more to the tale, though. Kirk endured a lot of interrogation while he recovered. Investigators were determined to identify the person responsible for the poisoning, despite his compromised condition. He then made his terrifying declaration, which was delivered in a whisper that was so faintly audible that it sent shivers through the audience. Kirk muttered, "I know who did this. But I'm not ready to say it yet." The room went cold. His remarks had enormous weight. For whom had he been guarding? Was he afraid to mention names? His family, the media, and fans were all left waiting for him to say something. His poisoning had only become more mysterious. There were rumors that someone might have poisoned Kirk. Was it monetary? A betrayal of oneself? It appeared that more questions than answers were raised by the study. Nobody had anticipated how complicated the issue was, and it seemed to be heading toward disaster. Then came the surprise that nobody had anticipated. Still barely aware, Kirk was able to mutter yet another terrifying warning, this time concerning Tamika, his sister-in-law. She had been the main suspect for weeks after being charged with poisoning her own brother-in-law. Now, however, with his deteriorating health and his hardly audible speech, Kirk changed the course of the inquiry. "Tamika wasn't the one," he whispered. "Someone else did it." The room fell silent. His remarks caused the inquiry to drastically change. They were more than just a confession. It left everyone in the room wondering, who was he now accusing? What did someone else imply to him? Was this delirium from his frail state, or was it a flash of insight? Tamika turned pale as she listened from the corner of the room. Was she set up? Or was this just another last-ditch effort to hide the reality? This new information devastated Rasheeda, who was already under a lot of stress from protecting her family and keeping her husband alive. Her voice broke as she exclaimed, "What does this mean? Who is Kirk referring to? Is this actually taking place?" There was little comfort the doctors could provide. Because of his frail state, it was difficult to determine if Kirk's statements were accurate or the product of his anguish. However, the harm had already been done. The alarming revelation made by Kirk was promptly reported by the media. The headlines shouted, "Kirk's startling disclosure, the family was stunned." Tamika was once again the target of harsh accusations. Tamika tearfully denied any involvement in an emotional interview. "I never intended to cause Kirk any harm. I swear on my life that I did not poison him, even though I am horrified by all that has transpired." I'm at a loss for words when it comes to Kirk's charges. Her anguish was evident, and her tears were genuine. However, not everyone was persuaded. Particularly after his startling declaration, some people took Kirk at his word. Others supported Tamika, claiming that she was the victim of a miscommunication. However, the family started to fall apart more and more as the investigation progressed. Grieving uncontrollably, Rasheeda was now more eager than ever to discover the truth. During an emotional interview, she stated, "I know my family. Kirk is someone I know. He would never make an unfounded accusation. However, I'm still attempting to make sense of everything that's happening." More startling information came to light as the investigation progressed. Police started investigating Kirk's business activities in an effort to find any information that would help them identify the person who may have poisoned him. Kirk's success has always been accompanied by adversaries. The more they learned, the more they understood that there were many people who wanted to hurt him. There were betrayals, falsehoods, and secrets that went much beyond the Frost family. It wasn't just about family. Then a startling revelation was made. A number of odd financial transactions involving Kirk were discovered by investigators. Huge sums of money had been moved to an unidentified account that had nothing to do with Kirk's family or business partners. The sums of these payments, which had been made in the weeks preceding Kirk's hospitalization, seemed suspiciously high. Is there a clue here? Had Kirk been in some kind of covert affair? Was he being blackmailed, or what? The mystery quickly caught the attention of the media. Is there a secret lover for Kirk? Who is responsible for these enigmatic payments? Tamika was once again in the news when the headlines went viral. The public was starting to doubt everything, even though she had no direct involvement in the transactions. Rasheeda was ripped apart by the media, the whispers, and the growing mystery as the family attempted to piece together the facts. Her voice broke as she said, "I'm just trying to be there for Kirk. I'm not giving up on him, but I don't have all the answers." Kirk's poisoning probe was a complex network of lies, money, and secrets, rather than a single betrayal. And the struggle inside Kirk's family raged on while he fought for his life. Who could they believe? The depth of the plot was unknown, and the truth was hidden beneath layers of bewilderment and pain. The effects of Kirk's poisoning were already destroying the family, even though the poisoner had not yet been apprehended. There was no longer any trust. Still, it was unclear who wanted Kirk gone and why. What do you believe actually took place? Was Kirk's epiphany a genuine breakthrough or only a hallucination brought on by his precarious condition? Is Tamika concealing anything sinister, or do you think she is innocent? What about the peculiar financial dealings? Is someone else pulling the strings from the shadows, or do they hint at a bigger plot? Leave a comment below with your opinions. We would want to speak with you. Who do you believe is responsible for this bizarre tale? Please click the like button if these twists caught you off guard. Remember to enable alerts and subscribe. You won't want to miss any of the upcoming revelations of further mysteries. Keep an eye out. Keep your curiosity alive. Continue to observe, because nothing is ever as it seems in the realms of betrayal, family, and fame.